Hello everyone, my name is Idnur Harinishri Reddy and I'm pursuing BTech at KL University Aziz Nagar branch. I'm studying a 4-year course on computer science and engineering. As part of the curriculum, we have been assigned a social internship that we are supposed to do over the duration of 1 week. I have chosen my domain to be waste management. I'm thrilled to share my comprehensive findings of my recent 6-day immersive field study across rural villages and a prominent dairy farm near Hyderabad, Telangana. My objective was to go beyond theoretical understanding and delve into the on the ground realities of waste management, community environmental awareness, the challenges faced, and innovative sustainable initiatives. I walked door to door, interviewed individuals of all age groups, all the way from the playful kids to the seasoned elders of the community. And I have explored the socio-economic factors that influence waste management behaviors. Through direct engagement with local residents, observing their daily routines, and targeted research, I aim to get a holistic picture of waste management and different techniques of waste disposal. The areas I have covered are Chandanagar, Reddipally, Veerannapet, Appojiguda, Chinna Mangalaram, Shankarpalle, Chilkur, Bairagiguda, and Manchirevula villages. So, this presentation is to bring to you the key insights from my field study, the observations, and what all actions I have taken during the time period. So, for day one, I went to Sid's farm and observed the sustainable practices that they perform there. I started by examining Sid's farm. They are a model sustainable dairy farm industry. Their rigorous quality testing, chemical-free products, and transparent labeling have earned strong consumer trust. And witnessing the stringent testing and excellent hygiene, I was very impressed. Here are a few images of what happened. Unfortunately, we were not able to take photos of inside the farm, but we were lucky enough to be able to take photos with the very friendly cattle that lived over there. So, another impressive thing from Sid's farm is that all of the products are hormone-free, antibiotic-free, and they're preservative-free. So, what did I do over there? I examined the farm facilities, viewed lab and factory operations, and held informal interviews and mini surveys with the farm visitors and personnel. I observed in particular the quality testing lab process and the waste disposal procedures. I noted their best waste management practices followed over there. I also noted this really novel way of making best out of waste. Dried cow dung, right? These people, they make small ornaments like small diyas, butterflies, or just overall house decorations that you can hang around. So, for day two, we went to Chandanagar. My study in Chandanagar revealed a significant gap between awareness and action in household waste segregation. While public spaces were clean, consistent household segregation was lacking, highlighting the critical need for continued awareness campaigns. So, I observed there that only 4 out of 12 interviewees actually practice household waste segregation. That is only 30% of the people here seem to actually separate their house waste. So, what did I do about it? I initiated a formal field research to understand why this happens. I talked to people of different age groups, toured the neighborhood to note their waste disposal behavior, and I discussed with them the 3 types of bins: dry, wet, and hazardous. I even told them about composting waste habits that they can use in their day-to-day life. I conducted an awareness program on waste segregation and its importance to the residents over there. For day 3, we went to Reddipally, a role model village for sustainable waste management. Reddipally truly inspired me with its outstanding integrated sustainable practices. The village demonstrated water saving techniques like roof harvesting and exemplary animal waste management, that is, utilizing manure in their fields. Even the schools actively educate their children regarding these good practices that you can do in your day to day lives. Here are a few images of the community awareness that they have by paintings and murals all over. So, the activities that I did here was I carried out a field study involving observation of these sustainable practices. I interacted heavily with the locals and farmers to understand how they're able to keep this good practices up and how they're able to pass this knowledge to the future generations. I researched on waste management principles through the internet and documented educational wall paintings and recorded sustainable practices. So, for day 4, we went to Appojiguda. So, in Appojiguda, the villagers showed awareness about waste segregation. But the challenge was they weren't really practicing it as much. However, a local dairy unit impressed me with its excellent waste disposal, utilizing cow dung for composting, and even the dried out waste crops that we would not be using anywhere, they use that also in their composting pits. Here are a few images of what happened that day. And also, I came across people burning waste. So, next, what did we do about it? I talked to various local villagers to understand the challenges and their awareness levels. I also conducted door to door household awareness sessions, and even with the kids, I had a fun poster making competition like things. I talked to the children and the farmers and the elders over there on why burning waste is a very harmful practice. I talked to them about the importance of needing to separate waste, but they just seem to believe that why should we be doing it? The municipal collectors would do it anyway. And this highlights the fact that not many people are aware that you should have an individual responsibility towards stuff like these. Although there might be a higher field that does it, it would be of great help if we do it in our day to day lives as well. So, next, for day 5, I went to Veerannapet and Chinna Mangalaram at Shankarpalle. So, Veerannapet was struggling with issues such as overflowing dustbins, open dumping, and irregular garbage collection. In contrast to this, farmers in Chinna Mangalaram and Shankarpalle diligently practice agricultural waste composting, and they preferred traditional manure over any chemical fertilizer that's available at the market. This day spurred ideas for innovative solutions like an IoT sensor based smart dustbin system. Here are a few images of the day where I talked to the farmers, the shepherds, and the locals. You can also see me and my friend brainstorming on how we can implement a system, how we can code it, and how we can possibly make it a reality. So, yes, obviously, with open dumping of waste, vegetables, it attracts flies and mosquitoes. And not just waste, as you might traditionally think is the plastic or the paper, cardboard, or anything. There were these open troves of collected stagnant water that had mosquitoes flying all over them. That was like a mosquito breeding station. And that is a very unhygienic thing because lots of diseases and health issues are spread because of that. And yes, The cowherds and shepherds mentioned on the absence of on-time garbage collection. So on this day, I administered the Swachhta pledge and I pledged to do 100 hours of community service and I promised to bring 100 people into the practice of keeping our nation clean. And throughout these 6 days, that's exactly what I have done. I am very proud of the progress and I hope to do more. I interviewed vegetable vendors, cowherds, and even shepherds in Veerannapet. I conducted thorough internet searches for known issues and scoured available case study and research reports and solutions. Day 6, we went to Bairagiguda and Manchirevula villages. So, Bairagiguda presented a systematic failure even with household segregation. We found out through an employee who worked in this field before. They said that the municipal waste that goes in the trucks that is collected, that is usually not segregated. It is directly thrown into dump yards. There is no separation over there. Yet, when I went back to Manchirevula, I talked to few people who had the most beautiful organic gardens that they grew solely through kitchen composting and cow manure, showcasing excellent household waste management and creative recycling. Here are a few images of the day. You can see to the right that even though there is a poster kept right there, do not throw garbage, people surprisingly and shockingly seem to throw waste right in front of it. And of course, to the other side, you would not believe how much trash was strewn over everywhere. And as we walked by, there was this foul smell coming by, the smell of rotting fruits, vegetables, and God knows what else was there in it. So, yeah, as we were walking by, we would see people passing on bikes and autos just silently throwing the waste away there, not even caring to look back or showing a sense of responsibility that what they were doing is wrong. And on the other side, the bottom left corner, you can see a young boy who recycled plastic waste at his home and made a bird cage. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a small pigeon in that bird cage over there, which is his pet. And as I was walking through the society, I also saw this open dry waste composting. That is basically dried leaves, dried grass, or any other dry material is collected over a place. And then later on, a pit would be dug for it to be able to become compost. They would add earthworms into this later on. And over time, whatever was this dry waste will slowly start becoming into very, very fertile soil. Now, in contrast, we also saw old pipes being reused for hydroponic systems. And this composting was also used for plant flowering. It was a beautiful sight to be in, and the smell, the fragrance of the flowers was a very pleasant and welcome contrast to the day's trash that I had been walking through that day. So yeah, recorded testimonies of Mrs. Ramadevi ma'am, Dr. Tanikachalam, and Mr. Pawan Kumar Reddy have offered rich understanding of effective utilization of organic waste at a domestic level with an emphasis on total exclusion of any chemical inputs, that is fertilizers. The plants that they grow, in case they had any nutritional lacking, suppose be it nitrogen, calcium, or anything, they would resort to organic sources such as eggshells or potato peels, apple peels to fulfill these nutritional requirements for the plants rather than going and purchasing any other outside chemicals. What I observed in their gardens was they even had exotic plants growing over there, like Lakshmana phal, Rama phal, avocado, and so many other different kinds of fruits and vegetables. And all of these plants were so healthy, fruit bearing, and they had so many vegetables hanging off of it. God, if I was not hungry that day, I would have probably asked for a few because it was so tempting. All of the fruits were so ripe, the vegetables were fresh. And then I asked what was the secret to all of it. And all of them had the same response: kitchen waste composting. That is the secret to their beautiful organic gardens. Now, after all of the 6 days of research, I spent a day trying to think of a problem statement to understand exactly where things are going wrong and what else we can do to help to improvise this. So, waste management in rural Telangana. So, there is a disconnect between awareness and action. That means even though people know that doing something might be helpful or they're aware what they're supposed to be doing, they still fail to execute the action. And there is unreliable municipal services in certain areas, leading to overflowing dustbins, collection of waste, attracting pests, rats, mosquitoes, and flies. There is also improper handling of non biodegradable waste by open dumping and resorting to burning plastic. All of these habits and practices leads to environmental degradation, health hazard, and a loss of trust in the system. For this to be resolved, there is an urgent need for community driven sustainable solutions that bridge this gap. So, what are a few recommendations that I have to combat with few of these problems? That is, employing smart technology driven, consistent, and timely municipal collection methods. IoT based smart waste collection systems. We need to provide accessible segregation bins. We need to develop a formal processing protocols so that no waste that is disposed goes unchecked and there is no piece of plastic that goes onto the lands or into the water without being processed for better reuse. There need to be targeted why campaigns because just knowing that you're supposed to do something is not enough to bring forth action. People need to know why it is important and just how damaging small activities like discarding a plastic bottle might be. We need to incorporate environmental education at schools. So, not just us, even the future generation is educated on how they can solve issues like this and how they can make our earth a much greener and a cleaner place to live in. We need to leverage local communication methods, such as we saw in Reddipally, those wall paintings. We can bring in local folk art into this, street plays or community meetings for awareness programs. There needs to be support, and we need to expand composting initiatives since not many people practice it. Although it's an extremely good habit, it's very rejuvenating for the soil. Although it is very helpful, lots of people seem to discard kitchen waste or any wet waste instead of actually utilizing it in a much better way. We need to promote biogas technology. We have to facilitate creative reuse and upcycling. There needs to be peer to peer learning programs, and we need to foster community empowerment and collaboration. So, my final conclusion for this entire presentation is I have conducted this 6 day immersive field study, and I'm very happy to have been given this opportunity by my university. And I have identified there is a clear divide in progressive villages like Reddipally, whereas other villages seem to be plagued by poor waste handling and open dumping. There is this awareness to action gap, and people need to recognize traditional composting practices. There are documented critical failures in this, such as municipal systems not being regular in waste collection, or particularly them not handling unsegregated waste and maintaining basic sanitation infrastructure. I have proposed a technological solution to this, such as a smart dustbin with a fullness sensor and a proximity lid to address the issue of overflow, odor, and pest control, such that the lid opens when the person is close by for them to dispose the waste, and after a certain time, like about 10 seconds or so, it closes back again. So there is no overload of this smell or it attracting any pests. And the fullness detection sensor, I feel, is quite an important feature for this dustbin because once it reaches a 70 to 80% fullness, it can alert the municipal authorities to come collect the waste. So there is no scope for overflowing waste. There is a need for integrated approaches like combining reliable infrastructure, sustained community engagement, and education on the health and economic benefits of proper waste management. There is an importance for collaboration between local communities, authorities, and policymakers to scale successful models and foster sustainable rural ecosystems. Thank you very much, guys. This was a very fun time. It was a really eye-opening experience and I learned a lot. I hope with this small presentation as a summary of my 6-day progress that I was able to give to you some insights on what you can do to help our nature be better.